The sweet resonant tones of a dying star reverberated through the compact quarters of the remote Neptune observation post on Triton. Stretching her tired limbs, Zephyr, an accomplished marine biologist, glanced at the holographic projections dancing across the control console. The patterns were perplexing, unexpected flurries of bioluminescent displays erupting from the icy oceans of Neptune. They pulsed like heartbeat signals, each burst more complex and unfathomable than the last. Across the console, Denali, a brilliant physicist and Zephyr's trusted collaborator, studied the spectacle, gripping his chin thoughtfully. His brows knitted in deep concentration as he ran the patterns through advanced algorithms, seeking any correlations with known laws of physics. Anything. Zephyr cast a questioning glance at her comrade, the curiosity in her voice echoing through the metallic solitude of their dome-shaped outpost. Months of shared isolation and hopes had interwoven their lives in a silent narrative of fellowship and exploration. This was their moment, their unexpected, thrilling moment. Denali's eyes flickered, a faint grin tugging at the corner of his lips. Possibly, he answered, the vagueness of the reply subtly betraying his excitement. He directed his gaze towards a sleek cylindrical device steadily hovering in their midst. Vega, what are the probabilities of this pattern being a result of natural geothermal activity? The AI bot Vega hummed softly and projected a series of figures onto the transparent screen erupting from its top. Based on collected data, the probability of geothermal activity replicating such a pattern is 4.8%, it concluded in its neutral, synthesized voice, a statistically insignificant chance. Zephyr's heart raced, her mind buzzing with tantalizing possibilities. This was something unprecedented, something truly alien. Wordlessly, she queued up her marine biomodeler, scanning the enigma frequencies being transmitted from Neptune's mysterious depths. Her fingers traced the holographic sequences dancing in front of her, each touch manipulating the symbols as if sculpting them. Life, she breathed out, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy in the air of the outpost. A bioluminescent lifeform is transmitting these signals, something huge and intelligent. It was a leap, but all other explanations seemed feeble against the evidence. Neptune, the gas giant whose frosty facade masked deep, icy oceans, was exhibiting signs of life. And not just primitive microbial entities, but a creature capable of communication. Denali looked over, his gaze meeting Zephyr's illuminated face. He could see it, the twilight reflection in her eyes, mirroring the icy, alien azure of Neptune. Intelligent life, our neighboring planet, he paused, letting the reality sink in. In the infinite, questing reach of humanity across the cosmos, their tiny observatory on Triton had stumbled upon what generations had dreamt of, a beacon in the cosmic phenomenon of life's tenacity. Their priority now was to understand the nature of this entity at any cost. The implications stretched well beyond their isolated little post on Triton, to every corner of humanity's reach. Denali soberly turned towards Vega. Initiate Project Cypher. Standard contact protocol. We have work to do. Vega hummed in acknowledgement, while Zephyr and Denali settled into their respective roles. There was anticipation in the air, electric and tangible. Their world, every known equation and expectation, was about to be rewritten, and they were the architects of this monumental symphony. Unbeknownst to them, they were not merely on the cusp of extraterrestrial communication. Instead, they stood on the precipice of an even greater revelation that would forever change their understanding of the fine dance between life, destiny, and the cosmos itself. As days turned into weeks, and weeks blurred into a fast-vanishing month, Zephyr and Denali ventured deeper into their extraordinary dialogue with the unseen Neptune leviathan. Together with Vega, they created a makeshift conversational matrix, translating the terrestrial system of signals into the beautiful and baffling bioluminescent code used by their aquatic interlocutor. The creature's responses sprang from depths where sunlight was forgotten myth, transmitted through the icy screen and cosmic darkness to their eager instruments. Each message was a new puzzle, another page revealing the worldview of an organism whose very existence forced them to reimagine their understanding of life. It divulged stories of its existence, tales of vortex storms dancing like ethereal wraiths on Neptune's surface, and relayed sensory experiences so alien that they took days to comprehend. Between the lines of cryptic, bio-luminescent pulsations, the creature showcased evidence of complex cognition, signs of memory and imagination, an understanding of self and surroundings. Here was a sentient being, tucked away in a corner of the solar system, humans had arrogantly declared uninhabitable for complex lifeforms. Denali proposed bolder questions, attempting to assess the knowledge depth of their newfound interlocutor. Logical problems, abstract concepts, mathematical riddles. The creature responded in kind, often returning with inquiries that probed their understanding of reality, questions capable of inducing Olympiad-level intellectual gymnastics. During one such exchange, a response from the leviathan arrived cloaked in what seemed like an inert genetic sequence. While initially assuming it to be biological noise, Zephyr's curiosity piqued when Vega's computation returned a coherent string. The sequence was a record, an attestation of historical events. Except, instead of an arbitrary yardstick, it used the life and death of stars, cosmic incidents, and celestial shifts visible from Neptune's vantage. "This is a cosmic calendar," Zephyr shared her revelation with a half-excited, half-terrified tremor in her voice. Every pulsation, every complex pattern was a testimony to the vastness of its knowledge. It observes, it learns, it passes on. It's remembering the dance of cosmos. The concept was humbling and unnerving all at once. Window shoppers in an ancient cosmic library, they had come across an entity that had chronicled the universe through silent epochs that spanned millions, possibly billions of years. This wasn't strictly communication anymore. It was education, a willing passage of knowledge from one intelligence to another. This crossing of cosmic threshold bound them to this entity in an intellectual kinship that spanned the solar system. During each communication session, they felt it, a closer bond, a shared understanding with an entity that was as far from their form of life as can be. They were unraveling more than an alien bioscript. They were exploring the encrypted psyche of a being that echoed the cosmos's untold secrets, whispered in stark bioluminescent pulses across the endless night. Yet, as they anchored themselves deeper into this strange discourse, neither Zephyr nor Denali could predict the impending leap into a scientific and philosophical abyss that was hurtling towards them. A new challenge unfolded in their extraterrestrial dialogue when the creature altered its bio-luminescent display, the patterns becoming more erratic, pulsations multi-layered in meaning yet obtuse in comprehension. They witnessed a dazzling spectacle, a celestial aurora painted in underwater hues, vibrantly violent in its orchestration and exquisite in its intensity. This startling deviation marked the initiation of an unforeseen phase in their cosmic discourse. Patterns morphed rapidly, consuming the dark Neptunian ocean with a spectacle of lights, casting an alien aurora that punctuated the icebound abyss. The sensor arrays on Triton hummed and whirred, processing this astounding manipulation of energies, the phenomenon leaving Zephyr and Denali in anxious anticipation. It was Vega that deduced the enigma. The entity's display manipulates the electromagnetic field in its immediate environment, Vega stated in its neutral cadence. The distortions are creating gravity wells within limited radii. Denali's thoughtful gaze switched between Vega and the data readings cascading across the screens. His eyes widened with comprehension. "It's not just light and sound. It's structure. It's space-time," he said with a hushed incredulity. In earthly terms, the Neptune entity was creating visual symphonies that defied the fundamental laws of nature. Meanwhile, Zephyr was wrestling with her biomodeler, observing the power spectrum of these displays. The creature was producing massive electromagnetic pulses, enough to create localized changes in gravity. There was no known life form capable of that. The potential implications distressed and excited them. This being was challenging every empirical law they'd built their understanding on. It was bending the fabric of reality in ways mankind had only fantasized about, doing things quantum physics and relativity theories had deemed possible yet unattainable. Cautiously, they engaged. They began by posing questions about the entity's abilities, using simplified terminologies. The creature responded with a series of bioluminescent signals that, upon their decoding, demonstrated theoretical models of physics manipulation it was engaging in. Every pulsation offered a deeper peek into its playground of reality manipulation. It was no longer a conversation or an education. It was a profound revelation. Vega, can we replicate the entity's field on a small scale? A model? Denali asked, turning to the floating AI. Vega hummed. The processing power required would exhaust our systems, but a scaled-down simulation of the field is possible. The weeks that followed saw Zephyr and Denali treading the fine edge of comprehension and disbelief. As Vega produced scaled-down versions of the gravitational manipulation performed by the creature, they perceived a tangible paradox. Their scientific reality was dissolving into a sea of rewritten laws and augmented physics. Quietly, the enormity of what they were experiencing began to sink in. This was not discovery alone, but a complete and fundamental revision of humanity's conceptual understanding of the mechanics of the universe. They were dealing with not just a different form of life, but a representation of an alternate reality itself. As they grappled with the enormity of their alien lecturer's study syllabus, they remained blissfully unaware of the profundity that was yet to come. With the new understanding of their otherworldly correspondence capabilities, sleep was a rarity in their Triton outpost. The tension edged up higher in the compact quarters. Both Zephyr and Denali, chains of silent debates with themselves, tirelessly consumed by the ethical predicament they faced. They had unearthed an essential truth that the world needed to know. It was the knowledge that could question the foundations of humanity's present, and perhaps alter its future. But the magnitude of this revelation had the potential to induce chaos in the scientific community and panic globally. It's like opening Pandora's box, Zephyr lamented, her hands nervously clutching a warm cup of synthesized herbal brew. Can the world handle this knowledge? Matching her solemn tone, Denali propped himself against the console, eyes trained on the flickering data streams. In the right hands, this could accelerate human progress by centuries. This understanding might be the key to God knows what, he countered, pacing nervously. But in the wrong hands. Trailing off, he intentionally left the disastrous implications unsaid. They both knew too well the destructive course humanity could take when met with power it barely understood. Could they trust global governance to handle caution over greed? Would this knowledge inspire or terrify? Zephyr sighed, her gaze transfixed on the holographic projection in the center of the room, the pulsating neon rings depicting the creature's last bio-luminescent message. The stunning display of lights captured a haunting beauty that belied the philosophical tempest they were braving. This was more than scientific data now. It was a philosophic chasm they stood on the edge of. A new age of understanding that threatened to upheave established norms with its revelatory might. With a determined glint in her eyes, she turned to Denali. We need a safeguard, a contingency that will ensure this information isn't weaponized, she urged. Denali shared her sentiment. Their shared responsibility weighed heavy on his shoulders. The course of human civilization was unwittingly in their hands. Without wasting any more time, they poured themselves into the task of drafting a coded data package. They encapsulated their findings, creating a multi-layered encryption that required global cooperation for decoding. The encrypted data described everything, from their first interaction with the entity to the most recent understanding of its reality-altering abilities. They purposely encoded it such that unilateral decryption by one nation was impossible. Each stage of decoding would need independent keys held by different geopolitical entities. This, they hoped, would stave off potential misuse and encourage cooperative sharing and exploration. Casting one last look at the decoded alien message, they launched the information package silently towards Earth. Hidden beneath their evident nervousness was the shared thrill of transformative discovery. As they dispatched the data pulsating with untold promise towards Earth, their outpost became more than a remote observatory. It transformed into the womb of a new epoch in human understanding and evolution. Forking paths of rebellion and compliance, fear and fascination stretched out in front of them. However, as the encrypted code shot through the infinite stretch of space towards home, they remained staggeringly unaware of the final piece in the cosmic jigsaw that was coming their way. The repercussions of their bold decision began to simmer as the data transmission sped towards Earth. The once busy workstation crumbled into a tenuous lull. The Triton outpost hung eerily silent, an atmospheric blanket of strained anticipation enveloping the station. Underneath that quiet, however, their minds raced, hounded by the enormity of their choices and the repercussions that lay ahead. Zephyr's finger traced an absent pattern on the glass, the otherworldly glow illuminating her feature, and her eyes gleaming with a confusing blend of anxiety and exhilaration. Denali, in quiet introspection, stared out into the unfathomable depth of space. Their silent solitude was broken by an audible hum emanating from Vega. A new transmission was coming in. The entity was responding, perhaps a reaction to the odd silence from their end. Disrupting the quiet vigil, the bio-luminescent message pulsed through the sanctuary of their Triton outpost. Transmitted across the icy expanse of Neptune's aquatic underworld, the frequency sequences were deciphered by the sophisticated gadgetry inside Vega. The AI began translating the series of pulses, rendering it into terms they could comprehend. A profound revelation unfurled in the icy silence of the outpost. The genetic code embedded within the message made Vega's calculations stutter, an anomaly beyond their wildest guess. The transmission array whirred to life, the scrolling screens showcasing a fragment of truth, a revelation so impossible to fathom that it stole their breaths away. The genetic code embedded in these transmissions. Vega paused, recalculating to ensure accuracy. It aligns with Earth-based aquatic organisms, specifically phylogenetic clusters corresponding to late Holocene marine fauna, evolved by many millions of years. Silence crashed into them, like a physical blow. The entity is from Earth, an evolved form of Earth's marine life. Zephyr stumbled in disbelief, the words barely leaving her lips as she grappled to internalize the revelation. This entity, this majestic communicator, was a native to their home, a child of their planet, metamorphosed by time and alien environment into a celestial messenger. Denali sank into a vacant seat, the residual anxiety and excitement draining from his face, replaced by utter astonishment. The cosmic historian, the architect of reality-bending spectacles, this alien intelligence in Neptune's frigid depths, was earthly. The grandeur of its knowledge, the million-year-old cosmic mark-off that had left them stupefied, became a terrifying glimpse of Earth's potential future. A future modified by the relentless vortex of time, and an inevitable testament to humanity's actions. The entity stood as a living index of what life on Earth could evolve to, given drastic changes in their environment. As they sat on Triton Station buried in contemplation, navigating this pandemonium of realizations, they suddenly became aware of the nature of their discovery. They had not merely found alien intelligence under Neptune's icy ocean. They had uncovered Earth's possible future, a testament to the resilience of life, and an unprecedented warning against the reckless exploitation that could create such a path of evolution. Eyes wide and hearts heavy with the weight of the truth they'd unearthed, they watched the coded warning they'd launched hurtle through the starfield towards Earth. And slowly, the gravity of their discovery dawned on them. The epilogue to their groundbreaking revelation, amplifying the urgency of the message. As the station echoed with distant Neptunal whispers and the fresh, haunting knowledge of Earth's testament, they realized their story was not just about the discovery of intelligent life. It was a cautionary tale from the cosmos itself, urging humanity's reflection in the mirror of the future.